Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Um I wanted to put out this video. I don't know, I just felt like I needed to share a little bit of my experience, how it has been so far after ending a relationship, with my ex-partner, fiance. And what I have learned throughout this process. Now, like I have gotten this habit of good habit. It's a good habit of after ending a relationship to give yourself that time to decompress, because I call it decompressing your feelings about ending whatever relationship. And I learned how to do this after I had ended my previous relationship with my son's father. And after going through the the emotional abuse that I endured with my son's father. And so when that relationship ended, I was like emotionally tore up. Like I just couldn't function. It took every ounce of myself to put back together. Like I just didn't have anything left. So I just took, like 4 years to recuperate from that relationship. So I was able to decompress everything that I went through and focus what was important, which was my children. And of course, at the time, my mother was alive, so I had to also focus on taking care of her and whatever matters that were happening at the time. So that at that time, I was able to decompress and put things in perspective, but not in depth. Not in depth, because at the time I was going through a lot of things, personal life, regarding about my children, and then it became very overwhelming dealing with my mom's illness and then her passing and all that stuff. So it got to the point like I was able to decompress, but then I had to shove it in the back burner and say, well, I have to think about it at a later time. So then 4 years after, I wind up going into a relationship with my ex-fiancé, and we were together like 12, almost 13 years. And when that relationship started to fall apart and that eventually ended, you know, pandemic hit, so like he officially left in April 2020. It's almost 2 years that he left, from my home. And during that time, of course, I had lost my job. Everything went into a standstill. Like nothing was happening, in the city. So guess what? It was the time to decompress everything. And so during that whole time, I didn't expect the amount of things that I was going to go through. Because also at the same time, I was also being scarred with things that were happening to me with other people. And by people triggering my old wounds, it started resurrecting a lot of those like pain that I buried deep inside. So after my ex-partner left, it was hard. It was very hard because you go through a whole process of, it felt like grief, like the whole process of grief. Because at that time, I was with him for 13 years. We were always around each other. We always did things. And if you hear that banging, is somebody in the building. It's banging the pipes. So, we were always doing stuff as a family, as a couple. So to suddenly have that person not part of your life anymore, it just brought a lot of things up on how I felt. I apologize with that. And it just brought a lot of wounds. And I had to really look at the things in a bigger picture. Like, okay, finally those old wounds were coming up, and I felt like I went through a grieving session. I went through different stages of grief after losing my last relationship, and then going through other pain that I can't even mention on this. But it was really hard. I went through a sense of loss. I felt very alone. I felt abandoned, so many different levels of abandonment. And I just felt like I had nobody to turn to. The people that I tried to turn to just didn't give a two craps about me. And that made it worse. Because then it taught me that I have to rely on myself. I couldn't rely on others for support. So, during this whole process of being alone, you have to learn to be very independent and not feel codependent to others. And I was able to at least look at everything that has been done in my life towards me, and as well as I did, because I'm not innocent on this either, and looked at my own mistakes that I created that led me to the position that I am in those situations that I lived through. And it has taught me very much to rely on myself. And I was able to grieve like a normal grief, because, anybody that has been in a relationship for a very long time, it's really hard. It's really hard. And it's very scary. You feel scared, and I'm not gonna lie, you're gonna feel scared of being alone. But once you get over that fear of being alone, then you'll be all right. Because it's just a matter of, like, you could do it. You could get through that fear and say, I got this. I'm going to get through this moment. I'm not going to let that hold me back. And so I was able to manage to do it. It's just like, no, I have to keep pushing it. I got to keep pushing it, because I'm not going to let my insecurities of being alone hold me back to live my life the way I want to live my life. Yes, I might have children, and yes, they live with me. But at the end of the day, I'm still, alone. Because, they have their lives. They do their thing. So I have to rely is myself. And what I want to do, how I want to live my life, and what I want to accomplish. But in order to get those, to meet those goals, you got to go through the process of decompressing all that garbage that you accumulated from the pain from past relationships. I don't like the idea of like jumping from relationship to relationship right off the bat. Because what are you doing is creating more crap and not sorting out those feelings. Not giving yourself that time to, unload the garbage that you accumulated. It's always important to decompress for a little while. Meaning, don't date for a little while. Give yourself time to heal, emotionally heal. Because when you jump from person to person to person to person, all you're doing is creating all these emotions. And then you become very confused on what is real and why things are happening, why things are not working out. And that's because you're not giving yourself that chance to take a pause, think why these things are happening. It's because maybe you're not giving yourself that chance to heal. Maybe you are, looking for something that is not existing in that person. Like people need to just stop. Take a step back. Think. Decompress everything out on your own. And then once you feel stable, emotionally stable, then you could start thinking about, hey, maybe I want to start dating again. Maybe I want to start meeting new people. But if you don't take that time to get to know yourself again, then all you're doing is creating new mistakes. I might not be like in a relationship, with officially in a relationship with someone, but it doesn't mean that I'm just not interested. It just means I'm being very selective. And it can't always go by a cute smile and pretty words to be thrown at me and say, okay. But it just takes a lot of action to go with it. And so I, have been enjoying my fortress of solitude since then. Like I said, it's almost 2 years already that I've been pretty much on my own, and that I haven't been, involved with a partner. But hey, I think it's time for me, because I think I healed enough. But I just, I feel that anybody that is going through a process of separating from a relationship, know that it's not going to be easy. You're going to go through your grief, your different stages of grief. Feeling alone, abandoned, gonna cry, reflect. But after all that is done, then you're gonna start feeling good again. You're gonna start feeling that you're at peace. And then you're gonna find yourself and say, you know what? Now it's time for me. Time to set new goals. Time to move forward. live life, laugh. You know, it's just, life is too short to live in regret and fear and feel like, you know, oh, that being alone is going to be the worst thing in life. It's not. It's just, unfortunately, society makes it seem like it's the worst thing. It's not the worst thing. Worst thing is being in a relationship that doesn't work and people are being hurt. That's the worst thing. I'd rather be alone in peace than being involved with people that are not right for me. That's the big difference. So anyone going through this, you could do it. Stay focused. Be your own cheerleader and say, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make it through this moment. Because after all, you got to write your own book of success as a single person. Anyway, so this is my brief message on how I, see and been dealing with things. And I hope that everyone who are going through this struggle of decompressing know that you're not alone. Alrighty, so anyone, please stay safe, stay blessed, and I'll see you soon in my next video. Bye.